Another.
I mean, I don't know if President Obama listens or watches this, but if he is, I'd love to have him. Love to have him on. So, you're welcome anytime. Like, what would I be doing to take a chance?
This beautiful melanin goddess that's before me. Hello. Coming up on another act, I chat with NBA star Blake Griffin about his podcast series on Audible, his ambitions as a Hollywood producer, and if and when we might finally see that remake of White Men Can't Jump. Blake, how did the collaboration with Audible even first come together in the first place?
Well, I've been approached about doing some different podcasts, some in the sports world, some in like the comedy sports world, I guess. And, I didn't have a lot of interest, but one thing I do have a lot of interest in is health and wellness. And the Audible opportunity came up, and they've been so supportive, so great, and it's just something I couldn't pass up. With their help, and it has been great, and it's they've been a great partner.
At what point are you recording them? Because I don't know if you know this, you have a full-time job. So how does that work for you? Are you recording these podcasts on the road, or do you just kind of have to make time for them?
Honestly, so season 1 I did all off season. This was the summer of 2019, and then season 2 I started doing basically when the season shut down in March. I started recording season 2 at the end of March. So I've been able to record everything in our off season, which helps with our schedule and my original day job.
Is there a guest that you've geeked out over so far? If so, who's that person?
There's been a lot, to be honest. I thought Ariana Huffington episode was awesome in the first season. I'm excited for people to hear the Malcolm Gladwell episode in season 2, and I actually interviewed Kevin Durant back in March. Before we were teammates, obviously. So I'm excited for people to hear that too. I think we had just a very candid conversation. He just comes across like how he is, just a super nice guy, loves basketball, and is very, very real.
Yeah. You are someone who has been interviewed a lot of times. Is there an interviewer whose style that you found that you're emulating on this podcast?
Honestly, no. I mean, everybody. There are some great interviewers and some people I really enjoy talking to, but I just kind of had to do this my own way. It was a bit of a trial and error, especially with the first season. But I definitely feel more comfortable now, and have learned some things along the way.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've gotten from one of your guests?
I mean, there's been a lot. I think the thing that I've really tried to take away the most is sort of the mental health aspect of health and wellness. And that's always sort of a common theme that always pops up, no matter who I'm talking to or what field they have their expertise in. But it's just such an important topic, and it's also one that has been overlooked for a long, long time, and it's gaining traction, and it needs to be more normalized.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you're an athlete, so health and wellness has been a part of your regimen probably since you were very young. But at what point did this become something that you wanted to identify as a brand for yourself?
I'm not sure in terms of like identifying as a brand for myself. I've always been interested in. I was a health and exercise science major in college. Those were always like my favorite classes. I enjoy the conversations with our trainers and team doctors and sports scientists and all these people that are very good at what they do. Like I said, it was more so me being able to have these conversations that I've always wanted to have, and hopefully, people taking something away from it as well.
Now, here's something that I know about you, Blake Griffin. Kenya Barris told me years ago that you're hilarious and that you maybe secretly or maybe not so secretly did some stand-up comedy. Does that mean that you have ambitions in front of the camera?
Not really. It's something fun that I do sort of in the off season. I've done some stuff here and there, but it's mostly just with, either friends, or I've done something on a show that I really like watching myself, and the opportunity presented itself. But it's not something I'm really focused on. I've always loved stand-up. I do a stand-up charity event every year for my foundation, where I bring in like 5-6 comedians, and they do some time, I do some time. But it's a terrifying experience to be up on stage with just a microphone and trying to make people laugh. But it was cool because I walked away kind of having this newfound sense of like a new tool that I guess I had to sort of lean on, the rest of my life.
How did you get into the comedy space? Where did that start for you?
when I got to LA, I sort of met a couple guys who do stand up, and would go with them and watch them, go to different places. And I kind of always envisioned myself like, what would I be doing if I had to go up there and do it? And then tried it one time and it was fun, but it's not something I sort of do in the off season randomly and for this charity event. So it's not a focus right now.
You're not trying to come after Chris Rock's job or anything like that.
I'm not. I'm going to let him do that. I think he's pretty good at it. So I'll stick to basketball and podcasting, I guess, for now.
But you also are a producer, or at least at one point you were dabbling into production. Tell me a little bit about that, because is that still a focus for you? Like, I know a few years ago the White Men Can't Jump reboot was announced. Is that still happening?
White Men Can't Jump was interesting to me just because the landscape of obviously the world and socially where we're at has changed dramatically. But also so is basketball. Basketball has become even bigger sport since then. It came out in '92. The Dream Team was '96, and that's sort of when basketball, in terms of the global stage, was taking off. So I enjoy that, like the creative side of that, and sort of putting these pieces together and figuring out stuff.
Yeah. What's it like for you when you walk into spaces like, whether it's the offices at Audible or whether it's a studio that you're working with? Because for so long, we
Mm-hmm.
we're accustomed to only seeing athletes being one-dimensional. And now we live in a world where you guys are doing more than the thing that made you famous. But do you feel like you're being listened to and heard and appreciated for the lens that you're bringing into these different spaces? What's that like?
Yeah, I think like that was sort of our whole goal. The first several years of our production company was to meet with people, let them know that this is like something that we're passionate about. It's not just like an ego thing. We don't want to just stick our name on something and have that title, but it's something that we want to learn and produce really good stuff. So I think anytime you step into a room and you show people that you're passionate for something, I think that comes across, and it's contagious, and people are willing to take a chance, more so than if you're just kind of doing it to do it. So it's cool because it's a very different, like you said, it's not something that is very normal, and it's also outside of my necessary like comfort zone. But it's a fun challenge. It's fun, to sort of have that outlet.
Comfort is a good word, because I was going to ask, at what point did you feel comfortable in the podcasting space? When did you know that you were doing something that made sense and that was working?
That's a great question. I still don't know if it's working, but like I said, it's been great for me because I've been able to have these conversations, and as I've gone along, I've gotten more comfortable. But I've tried to pick up things here and there, and really just try to enjoy having these conversations and the opportunity to have these conversations with people who are so smart and innovative.
Who's the dream guest for you?
Dream guest. I mean, I've had a bunch already. I mean, I don't know if President Obama listens or watches this, but if he is, I'd love to have him on. So, you're welcome anytime. I'm sure he's got a lot to say.
That would be kind of cool. And if it happens, I mean, I want a shout out. So
I got you. If it happens, I for sure will.
But of course, at what point will you start working on the next comedy series? I mean, I know we still are in this interesting space with the global health pandemic, but I would imagine that you're thinking about a way to adapt what it is you do virtually with the comedy show too, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've had those conversations. It's obviously a weird time, and some of my friends who are stand-up comedians are just now getting back on stage inside in a more normal environment, not a normal environment. So I'm always like kind of thinking and writing things down, but I don't know. It's kind of this year has been weird. The season's been weird. It's it's going to go longer or shorter off season. So we're just going to have to kind of go with it like everybody else and figure it out on the run.
I love all of that. Blake Griffin, thank you so much for taking time out to chat with me today. I do appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.